Hey Jeff, I would love to learn more about whether or not I can sue if I'm injured on somebody's property.
Sure, that's a great question. I get phone calls all the time from people who have been hurt on somebody else's property, whether it's at a store where they are shopping, a place of business where they're going, or even um, a friend's house, so somebody else's home. And the answer is it depends. You cannot sue just because you get hurt on somebody else's property. An owner of property is not automatically responsible anytime you get hurt. You have to prove that there was negligence involved. And whether or not you can sue the owner is another issue. For example, if you go to, there's strip malls all over the place, especially in Florida. Let's say you walk into a Subway that's in a strip mall, and Subway is just one of many businesses there. Well, Subway, in all likelihood, does not own that property. There's an individual or a company or a trust that owns that entire strip mall. However, if they have relinquished by leasing the property to Subway, if they have relinquished possession and control of that property to Subway, then Subway, as the tenant, even though they may not own the property, they, as the tenant, can be liable for any negligence that results in injuries. So the first thing that you have to do if you're a lawyer looking at this type of case is to determine what your client's status was on the property. What I mean by that was your client a customer, which we call sometimes a business invitee, or was your client going to an appointment at a doctor's office or an office building? Then the property owner or the person in possession and control of the property would owe you the highest standard of care as far as premises liability goes. If you are a trespasser, meaning you are somewhere where you were not invited to be or you are not supposed to be, and you just decided to go onto property in an uninvited manner, you are owed a lesser duty of care. Those cases are more difficult. But let me focus on the ones where you have been invited, either you've gotten an invitation to come over to somebody's house, or you've been implicitly invited because you're a customer walking into a business. The owner or the tenant in control has the duty to keep the premises safe and to repair or fix dangerous conditions that they knew or should have known about. And that's an issue that a good lawyer can help you with. Oftentimes, they don't actually know of a dangerous condition, but there's a condition that they should have known about. And your lawyer may do things like obtain photographs of the scene, ask for video surveillance that might have shown the actual fall or might show the actual condition that you claim is dangerous. So it's very important, as simple as some people think a slip and fall or a trip and fall might be, it's very important that you contact a lawyer who is experienced with handling these types of claims, because it doesn't automatically mean that just because you fall somewhere, you have a claim. So I highly recommend you contact a lawyer to discuss the nuances and the ins and outs of your injury to determine whether or not you have a good claim. And that kind of leads me into another area. I get a lot of phone calls regarding sports injuries. And the question is, can I sue if I am injured playing sports? And again, just because you are injured somewhere playing sports does not mean that somebody is responsible for it. You have to prove that they were negligent. There are all sorts of risks that are inherent in sports that are just part of the danger of playing. For example, in football, you go in to tackle somebody really hard, or you go to block somebody really hard, um, or you get tackled and you blow out a knee or you injure a shoulder. Well, those types of things are part of the risk of playing football. You play basketball or soccer, you sprain an ankle, you go snow skiing, and you hit a little bump and you fall and you get hurt. Those are things that are part of the activity and they're just an accepted risk. So you typically would not have a claim for that. However, I've handled many, many sports injury cases and about eight uh, death cases where players playing college football and high school football have actually died as a result of a practice session. And while there are certainly risks that are inherent, if the coach has you doing something that is dangerous or doing something that is out of the ordinary, then you can have a claim. For example, if you are taught a completely inappropriate tackling method and you make a tackle in this improper manner because that's how the coach taught you to do it, and you get injured, you could very well have a claim against the coach and or the school. Um, Most of the death cases that I was involved in involve a situation where players died during conditioning. They either had sickle cell trait or they suffered from heat exhaustion or they had some sort of a cardiac issue. And those cases typically involved conditioning sessions where the players come back from summer break or come back from Christmas break and the coach wants to teach them a lesson and puts them through these crazy, very difficult conditioning drills without letting the player build up and acclimate and get stronger, just dives right into it and sends them into these crazy drills, and the player dies or is seriously injured. Then you would have a claim. Those are not risks that are inherent in the sport. There's a final issue that arises in these types of cases, and that is, did you sign a release? A lot of times when you go to play a sport on a team or you go to college or even high school these days, you will often sign a release of claims before you even start participating in the activity. And those releases can sometimes be valid, but oftentimes a good lawyer can get you around those releases and it will not prevent you from suing. So it's very important that you contact a personal injury attorney who has experience in handling sports related injuries or deaths so that you can get a complete answer to your facts and find out what your best options are.